Hello, students. I'd like to introduce you to our first code practice lab. And for spring 2024, I have changed these lab activities from REPL, which I used to use all the time, to Trinket. And the reason I did that is because REPL went through a massive change within the past few months, and they have uh, given up on their mission of providing free access for people that are learning, particularly students, and have now turned everything into a paid system. So they've made it very, very challenging for uh, professors to use REPL as their primary resource for an online code editor. So I have gone over to Trinket and paid for instructor access so that you guys have an online code editor that you can do, and therefore you don't need to install Python on your local machines. This way you can log into Trinket and do your coding from any computer. But you are, of course, welcome to download Python and I would recommend getting VS Code as your code editor if you're going to use local uh, computer development. And you can do your Python programs through there and then copy and paste it into Trinket to submit it that way. That would be my preferred method. But if you don't want to use Trinket at all, you can submit your .py file to me directly through our assignment here. So let me just walk through Code Practice Lab 1. Um, all subsequent code practices will have video demonstrations available. You do not have to watch them, but they're helpful if you're struggling with the assignment and you want to see how I've done it. Um, that you can walk through those, and those were all recorded using Replit. So I'm going to walk you through Trinket today, and then you can kind of apply what you've learned in this video to your next practice lab activities. For the programming projects, I will not have any demonstration walkthroughs because those are intended for you to start from scratch and put to practice everything that you've done so far. Okay, so this is our first assignment. This is a very introductory assignment. So if you have had prior programming experience or prior Python programming experience, you will find this to be relatively easy. This is a good beginning, get your feet wet with Python activity. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is join our Trinket class account. If you haven't ever used Trinket, which I'm assuming most of you haven't, then you can create an account here. It's free. And then once you click that link, you will have joined our class, which means that I can track your assignment submissions and things like that. Gives me access to seeing your code and running your code through the system. Okay, so I have the instructions for what you'll be doing here in the Canvas assignment, and then I will also have them in the Trinket account as well. I do try to put some example output for you to model, and then you can submit your activity here when you're complete with it through Trinket and through Canvas. Okay, so when you're on the Trinket account, your account might look a little bit different, but here is our class account. And let me just go to this from a student view here. So every week I will put some information. Mostly this is just going to be our lab activity. If I have any practice code that you can play around with, I will include that here as well. And then like the starter template for your programming assignments will be here. And you are, of course, welcome to use Trinket and just create things on your own. But this being our little course shell, I just wanted to walk you through how to complete this first lab activity. So you're going to click on lab activity. It has like a little clock here, which means there's a due date. So this says it's due Wednesday, April 17th. I don't know why it says 8:45. There might be a time zone issue, but don't worry, like this is the recommended due date for this project. You will also have the due date here in Canvas, and this will tell you um, due Wednesday, April 10th. So check Canvas because that's the correct due date, okay? And I will fix whatever this due date thing is in Trinket, why it's showing up that way. Okay, so here are the instructions again and the example output. And then to get started, you just click Start Assignment and you will have a code editor here. What you can do is you can click X to minimize the little course menu, and you'll have your this left side is your code editor and the right side is the output of your code editor, and you will click Run to get to run your actual program. Okay, so what I like to do is there's a couple different ways to do this. So since you have the instructions right here, you're probably okay without copying them into your Trinket for your comments. But if you do want to just kind of um, copy everything and then comment it out, that way you can make sure that you've completed everything, or you can just look up here at the top and kind of mark them off in your head. So the first thing is include a 3-line comment at the top of the program. So you can just start typing in here. We have 108 lab activity. I cannot type today. Today's date is the 9th. And then your name. Okay, output hello world to the screen. That is going to be a print statement. And I always recommend that as you're typing, that you go ahead and run your program. That way you can make sure everything's working correctly and there aren't any syntax errors. Let me just show you what a syntax error would look like. So if I forgot the parentheses and I clicked run, it will give us a big red line and it will say, hey, there's a syntax error. This parenthesis was never closed. That's a very helpful error. So that should be easy to kind of interpret. It will tell you the line number. Just know that typically it is the line number, but sometimes it could be the line above this line number that could be causing a problem. So if you don't see anything wrong with the line that it's telling you, take a look at the line above and see if there's a problem. Okay, add two numbers together and output the math equation and the total to the screen. So do that. So let's say I'm going to say 10 plus 55 equals, and then I'm going to put a comma. That comma is basically in concatenation, and 10 plus 55 is a string, and then this is going to be a calculation here. So I'm going to put 10 plus 55. This will actually interpret 10 plus 55. And then I'm going to click run and make sure that looks good. So there we go. The other thing that you might want to do is put a blank space in between these. Again, I'm all about making it look nice. So let me just, I will never get mad if you go above and beyond. And then you can also use a \n, and that will give you a blank line as well. So if you put the slash n in the actual string, it will put a return in there as well. So you can print a blank line by saying print with nothing in it, or you can use that backslash n to put a blank space in there. Okay, create a variable named first name and store your first name to it. So make sure you store your first name, not mine. So I'm going to say first name, and this is a string, so I'm going to put it in quotations. And then last name. Okay, then it says output a message, my name is, and the string value of the first and last name. Be sure there's a space between is and your first and last name. Include a period at the end of the sentence. So I could just do something that says first name, and that will print my first name. But what I want to do is I want to put something that says my name is, and then that's the string part. And then I can put a comma. Again, if I use a comma as a concatenation, the comma will add a space. You can use a comma or a plus. A plus does not add a space, and you have to be careful with pluses because they can interpret it to be a math equation. So sometimes it's just easier to use a comma. Okay, so my name is first name, last name. Let's see if it works this way. Comma, period. Oops. Right, so I'm going to run that. My name is Dina Laney. Oh, and because I put that comma in there, it is putting a space. So I'm going to change that comma to a plus, and that will remove that space. So there's an example of using comma, which will put a space, and a plus, which will not put a space. And then I want to put a line break, so I'm going to put that slash n in there. So there we go. Okay, so I'm done here. Create a variable named num1. Okay, num1, and store the number 24. So this is numeric, so I don't put it in quotations because quotations is a string. Num2 is 2024. Output a math equation sentence using the variables num1 and num2 and display the value of num1 multiplied by num2 to the screen. So we want to do something very similar to what we did with our name, but we're using this with the num1, num2. So I'm going to do the same thing, slash n, and I'm going to say, let me see here, comma, no, not comma, plus, let's see what happens, num1 plus times plus num2 plus, it's kind of ugly, huh, equals. And I want the computer to calculate everything. So I'm going to say num1 times num2. And I'm going to see if there's any syntax errors in that, because there might be. Yes. Okay, so this is where the problem's going to come. So cannot concatenate string to string. Oh, can only concatenate string to string. So it doesn't like the fact that I'm using numbers here. So instead of using the plus, I'm going to use a comma. And I'm going to use a comma, and I'm going to get rid of the spaces. And I'm going to use a comma. So I did this intentionally so you could kind of see what would happen if you did it that way. All right, so let me see what that looks like. Okay, so 24 times 24 times 2024 equals 48,576. I don't like that being there at the beginning because I don't like that it's putting the extra space in. So I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to put a blank line here with just the print statement. There we go. I like that better. Okay, output. Okay, we did that. Experiment with a line or two of code for your own for further Python practice. So you can do math, you can do an input statement, you can come up with something of your own. I'll go ahead and put something in here for you, but I would really like you to kind of take what you've learned from this week and put something in here. So I'm going to say color equals input. What is your favorite color? Okay, so that is going to ask a question, and then I'm going to output your favorite color is, comma, color. And I'm going to do that /n, and I'm going to do /n here as well. And then I'm going to run this. So there we go. What is your favorite color? Purple. Your favorite color is purple. And let me put in a period because I like things to look good. Try that one more time. All right, so there you go. So if you are a more experienced programmer, please do something exciting down here for your on your own practice. And it would be very helpful to kind of also come in here and comment things out. So you can put a comment, do an input and output for practice. Whatever you want. Any messages to me you can put in here. This was a good practice activity for me. Okay, so once you have this done and you are finished, you're just going to click submit your code, and then that will go over to my side of things, and I'll be able to see that you submitted it. And then I think you could come in here. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know that there is any way for you to get a URL other than this particular URL, but I think that's going to be the same URL for everybody. So just double check this video. If your URL says the same as mine, then there's no need to submit your URL to me. I will just get your assignment through Trinket. If your URL is different and it has your username, then you can submit your URL and I'll be able to see it. So, and by submit your URL, I mean come down to the actual canvas and choose submit. Let me go down there. It doesn't look like. Okay, so submit your URL. So if this was your URL and it's different than mine, then go ahead and highlight it, Control C to copy it, and Control V to paste it, and then you can submit your assignment. You can also upload. So if you're doing this at home and you have your own .py file and you don't want to just copy it here into Trinket, you can upload that assignment this way. Again, my preference is for you to submit it through Trinket because then I have a nice little repository of everybody's assignments. And then just click submit and you are good to go with that activity. And then one last thing, in Trinket, once you have your account created, you can practice however you want with Python. So to create a new Trinket, you just come over here to the little key and choose Python 3, and then you can start working here and do whatever you want with your program. And then just, like if you're doing like, practice or chapter 2, you can save whatever you want there. And this is a test and run. And there we go. You can save it. And then from here, you can share a link. So you share your code, and that way I can see it if you want to show me something that isn't necessarily set up as an assignment. All right, I hope that helped. Um, Good luck. If you have any questions or you run into problems with Trinket, let me know. Again, this is the first time I'm using this for my class. I've used Trinket before in the past just for my own personal things. I've never used it from the classroom perspective. So if you run into anything frustrating or you have problems with anything, please let me know. And I will do my best to get a resolution to you as soon as possible. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.